thank you for joining us today. You're listening to Pet EDU, and I'm your host, Mary Obadier. This is Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. This week's interview is part 2 of last week's show with the founder of Dante's Den. Marsha Panuce has been sharing with us about how Dante's Den got started and all the wonderful programs it has. Actually, we haven't talked about the programs yet. We are going to talk about that in this show. But we have been talking about the great life that the dogs have on the campus of Dante's Den. We couldn't get in all of the questions, so she graciously agreed to do a second interview with me. Marsha has created a beautiful sanctuary for dogs that are separated from their owners due to many reasons. I am very anxious today to be talking with her again. Not only is she the founder and executive director of Dante's Den in Mayaca, Florida, she is also the host and executive producer of the nationally syndicated TV show, Animal Outtakes. Marsha, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much. I just am so looking forward to this.
Well, for those listeners who didn't hear our first interview, share a little bit about yourself and how you got into being the founder of Dante's Den.
Many times we all have dreams. We should have dreams and goals, but it is few times that we are absolutely able to realize them. And I feel blessed. I couldn't be more blessed because I had a dream and I'm living that dream. And I'm living it with dogs. And Dante's Den has just been, it's that breath of fresh air that you look forward to every day. And it's a very unique place. It's located on 50 acres. It's beautifully wooded. It has lakes. But moreover, it is a beautiful and solace type of place where dogs and humans can cohabitate. And you know what? Be happy. Be happy. We're all looking to be happy in this crazy world that we live in. Well, come on to Dante's Den, because I promise you will be happy.
I know from what I have seen online and when I listen to you, I want to come live there. I really do.
Well, a lot of people say that. They ask if they could move in with the dogs. And you know what? That is wonderful to me. Dante's Den is not about Marsha. It really, really isn't. I was blessed. I had a goal. I had a dream. And I was able to facilitate that. And the winners of this are the dogs. They are just having a great life. And, we take care of every need that they have. Their social needs, their behavioral needs, obviously the food that they eat. But most of all, we impart love because that's all they're looking for. And everybody says, well, you know what? They are very, very forgiving. They're always there for us. Yes, that is true. But it's what we do for them. The environment we create for them is where we get the millions of loves and kisses and hugs back.
Absolutely. I actually have a little Yorkie trying to get on my lap right this minute. And the soulfulness in her eyes, it's like all I want is love. Just love me, Aunt Mary,
Yes.
It's all about that.
Well, when you look in a dog's eyes, at least when I do,
mm-hmm.
you see their soul.
Mm-hmm.
You see their soul. And I truly believe, and I know there's a lot of theories about this, there's no bad dog. But we humans have created situations that they can't show off their best.
Mm-hmm.
They're confined. They're trained to do things that are just not socially acceptable. Well, whose fault is that? It's not the dog. The dog doesn't know. It's what he's been taught. It's
Absolutely.
what the environment. So when you come on to Dante's Den, you've got a positive environment going on. And we can rehabilitate some difficult cases.
Mm-hmm. Do you use trainers?
We use some trainers, yes, and of
Mhm.
course they have to abide by what our MO, as I say. But you know what? I have staff. We have staff 24/7, every day of the year, and they are the ones that really work with these dogs. And they know their personalities, and they know their nuances, and they know what they like and what they don't like. And, I always say it boils down to one little word: love.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, our 30 minutes is going to go by fast. So the main thing I want to focus on today or in this interview are your programs. And I want to start with boarding. Do you offer boarding for people who go on vacation?
Absolutely. Actually, we do daycare, we do short term, and we do long term. We have had dogs up there boarding sometimes for 6 months to a year. People go on the round the world cruises. Well, you can't take your dog. What better place than Dante's? So they bring the dog there. Yes, we do boarding of all sorts. When the dogs come in for boarding, they're all given a wellness exam, and we look to see what more we can make comfortable for them. And by the way, some of them come in with their own chairs and sofas, and we accommodate them.
That's a good idea.
Yes.
Um, well, as a professional pet sitter, one of my fears is that for some reason the pet's owner doesn't return due to an accident or illness on their trip. But you have a program in place called Lifetime Care. Tell me how this came about and how does it work?
Lifetime care originally came about from a fear that I had. After my husband passed away, I had 4 dogs at home, and I was all they had. And I worried. I worried that if something happened to me, my gosh, who would take care of these dogs? And this is really the hallmark of what Dante's Den is. We created an environment and a culture so that the dogs could make an easy transition from somebody's home into Dante's Den and lead a fulfilling life. Now, when people come in and board their dogs, this is a program that we discuss with them. Why? For the very reason you just gave. Things happen. Life steps in. It's not exactly the way we would always want it. So we discuss these opportunities with the boarders, and they will tell us what they would want to have done if, in fact, they are unable to not only come back for their dogs, but maybe they're not able to attend to their dogs just due to an illness or a surgery or what have you. Now, out of that came another program. It's just a small adjunct program that we have called Active Lifetime Care. And what we found was that, people go and have surgery. Sometimes they don't always turn out the way we want, or your rehab is much longer than you were hoping for. So many things can happen. So the dogs come to us, again, under the unique lifetime care. And then when we call it active, the owners can come and, for example, they can come and take their dog to the beach, because, of course, we have a lot of beaches here. And some of them go to McDonald's for their hamburgers. And in other words, the owners can come, take their dog, and have a life with them, and then bring them back to us, and we take over and we continue with our work.
Oh, that's nice. So they get like visitation rights.
Yeah, you might want to say that. Yes. And you know what's interesting? The dogs love to go because they're usually going in a car. So they love to go and they're out with their owners, but then they want to come back because they have a great place to be, and it's a happy place for them. They're
Oh,
glad to be
that's
back.
sweet. That's sweet. Well, the pets that you acquire because someone has passed away, do you try to find homes for these pets?
Only if the owners tell us to do so. In our preliminary agreements with them and discussions, we find out, do you want your dog to stay here at Dante's for the rest of its life, or do you want us to adopt out. It's interesting that we have not had one per parent tell us adopt the dog out. They have a peace of mind. The dog has a peace of mind, but the owners have a peace of mind. And they know what they're getting when they're at Dante's. It's difficult when you adopt a dog out. There are many wonderful, warm-hearted people that want dogs, but there's never a guarantee as to how that's going to end up. With Dante's, when people are considering lifetime care and active lifetime care, we encourage them, come up, bring the dog, let them play around, let them be in the den. You go in with them. That way you have satisfaction all the way around that, yes, this is a good place.
Well, let's talk about joyful adoption for a second. I am guessing that you really, when someone wants to adopt a pet, you put them through the rigor before they go home with that pet.
Well, we'd like not to say that, but yeah, absolutely we do. We've been told that we're just about as thorough as if you would want to adopt a baby. I will tell you that it's not first come, first serve at Dante's Den. We take applications. We talk to people. There are no same-day adoptions. We have a couple of interviews with the people before we take them to see the dogs. Now, you might say, well, why? Well, you know what? They'll come in, and I want a little dog, and this is what I want. Okay. And then we start talking to them, and we find out what their lifestyle is. And then they say, well, I don't know why I'm asking for a smaller dog. I think I'd like a little larger dog. They change. It is our position to find out what it is that they want. Then they go and they see a dog, and the dog is brought to them, and they play with the dog. We have a couple of those types of meetings. Also, if they have dogs already at home or cats. Not all dogs care for cats. So we have to try that out. And then, of course, the last part of that is a home visit. And we make sure that you're quite serious about it. And a fenced yard always seems to get a good dog. and then we make the adoption. And after a couple of weeks, we always find a way to just be in the neighborhood and drop in for a cup of coffee, just to make sure that things are going well. But you know what? By that time, most people have sent us pictures of the dogs in the bed, watching television, playing. We know it was right, and it was a great adoption.
That's awesome. Well, when do you have any stories to share about pets that maybe lost their owners and they found a good home? Do you have any that really stick out in your mind?
I'm asked that very often, and we don't have enough time for me to talk about some of those stories. But if you would allow me to just digress, I think some of the most heartwarming stories that we have are under our Semper Paw program. And that's the program we developed for the military. So when the military goes on deployment, they bring their dogs to us, and their dogs stay with us. Many times those dogs are up there 1-2 years. We've just had a dog go home after 3 years. Wow. Now, Dante's Den is a young organization. We just started our 5th year a month ago. However, we have had wonderful experiences, and under the Semper Paw program, we now take in the first responders. So we have the firemen, the fire chief, the police chief, Florida Highway Patrol brings their dogs to us.